attack neutralized 24 insurgents in Yobe. Zalam commend Tinubu over 68 billion naira Maduguri power project. And finally, from the front page of Daily Trust, Vigilante beat core members to death in Benue. From the nation, APC targets ranker-free primaries with revised plan. Nomination forms open to all eligible party members. Electronic list of members sent to INEC. ICAO's 91.45% aviation safety rating excites Tinubu. Federal government roll out new strategy to stabilize food prices, boost production. FCCPC seals estate over defaults to subscribers. Wike Henuti locked in talks to end strike. CBN increases ATM card issuance fee by 50% to 1,500 naira. 20 killed in fresh Borno plateau attacks. Yeah, that's it from the headlines. And do not forget that the studio lines will be open shortly so you can react to any of the stories that catches your attention. Your opinion right here matters. Now I'll be starting from the Punch newspaper. Article Economist raised concern over Tinubu's $516 million loan request. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and economists have raised concern over President Bola Tinubu's request for Senate approval of a fresh $516 million external loan to fund sections of the Sokoto Badagry Super Highway. The president had written to the Senate seeking approval for a over $516 billion external loan to finance part of the 1,000-kilometer highway project, a flagship infrastructure initiative under his administration. The request addressed to the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, was read during plenary on Thursday, formally triggering legislative consideration. And according to the President, the loan is expected to be sourced from Deutsche Bank, which supports the construction of sections 1, 1A, and 1B of the highway linking Sokoto, Kebbi, Niger, Kwara, Oyo, Ogun, and Lagos State, stretching from Ilela to Badagry. And also, article in a statement signed by his senior special assistant on public communication, Frank Shaibu, acknowledged the importance of the project, but warned against rising debt levels and weak transparency in borrowing decisions. Yeah, so that story is found from the Punch newspaper today. So it's just about Bola Tinubu requesting approval for a $516 million loan to work on the Sokoto Badagry Highway project. What is your thoughts, on this story? We have loan of over five. In fact, like over a trillion naira in the country. And do you think that this is a good strategic move in the country right now? I would love to know your thoughts on this particular story. And also, we have this one that says Tinubu to decide airline debt relief percentage, says Kayamo. That's the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Kayamo, has clarified that the federal government would not write off all debt owed by airlines, stating that President Bola Tinubu would decide the percentage to be waived. And Kayamo said the move is part of ongoing efforts to cushion the impact of rising aviation fuel costs on airline operators and ultimately passengers. And also, it was said, the minister said on Thursday that we cannot do so now because the presentation will be made to the president and it will make a decision as to the actual percentage. Recall that operators had raised the alarm after aviation fuel climbed by over 300% compared to its pump price in February. And the airline owners threatened to shut down if nothing was done to tame the skyrocketing price of jet AI fuel. Wiretapping, El Rufai pleads not guilty, faces fresh charges. Yeah, El Rufai is in court over Ribado's phone hack. The Department of State Services (DSS) has arraigned former governor of Kaduna State Nasir El Rufai before a federal high court in Abuja on a five-count amended charge bordering on the alleged tapping of the mobile phone of the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribado. The DSS alleged that El Rufai intentionally and unlawfully interfered with the communication of the NSA, which is part of critical national information infrastructure as contained in Designation and Protection of Critical National Information Infrastructure Order 2024, gazetted as Statutory Instrument number 21 of 2024, which he admitted on February 13 while appearing as guest on a Rise TV station primetime program in Abuja. But El Rufai pleaded not guilty to the charge, after which the prosecution counsel, Oluwole Aladeoye, that son, requested 3 days for the trial. An earlier counsel for the DSS, Aladeoye, informed the court about amended five-count charge under which the ex-governor was arraigned. And in response, El Rufai's counsel, Oluwole Iyamu-san, noted that his client had been in custody of the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, where he found it difficult to access, adding that the court ought to consider his bail application dated February 17. Yeah, that story from Daily Trust this morning. This is about El Rufai, as he has been taken to court over the allegation that he tapped the phone of Nuhu Ribado. Well, he has pleaded not guilty, and the case is now set to continue in court. I would love to hear your reactions, concerning this particular story. Yes, that story is from Daily Trust newspaper, and also in Cross River, Senate probes COVID-19 case in Cross River. The Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, yesterday directed a comprehensive investigation into reports of a fresh case of COVID-19 in Cross River State. Akpabio spoke at the close of the day's plenary as the Cross River State government debunked reports that there were 10 new cases of COVID-19 in the state. The state president mandated the Committee on Health to urgently examine the situation. The committee, chaired by Ipalibo Aribanigo, is expected to investigate the reported case and present its findings at the next legislative sitting. The Senate President urged relevant authorities to verify the information and brief the Red Chamber. Boko Haram kills 18 farmers, firewood sellers in Borno. The Boko Haram insurgents have killed 18 farmers and firewood sellers on farmland in Gwoza town, Gwoza, Borno State. It was said that the attack occurred yesterday when victims were clearing their fields in preparation for the rainy season. And it was during farm clearance that the Boko Haram ambushed the farmers at the outskirts, shooting anyone on sight, a resident said. Malam Haruna Ayatu, a cameraman with the information unit of Goza Local Government Council, confirmed that 18 corpses had been recovered from the bush, adding that more people were found dead or missing. Senator Mohammed Ali Ndume, APC Borno South, also confirmed the incident, saying he received a distress call earlier in the day. He prayed for Allah to forgive the deceased, grant them al-Janatul Firdaus, while also urging strength and patience for their families over the tragic loss. And yes, if you'd like to react to any of the stories this morning, you can call me on 07048 001015, 07048 001015, or 08022102163, 08022102163. You can call me on these numbers if you'd like to react or share your thoughts on any of the stories this morning. And also we have the story. It says Alafin pushes interagency collaboration to curb security threats. The Alafin of Oyoba came Owade on Thursday called for strengthening interagency cooperation, timely intelligence sharing, proactive intervention, and structured community engagement to enable early warning and prevention of security threats. He made the call during a courtesy visit to the Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak in Ilorin, the state capital. But Owade said communities possess local knowledge while the state holds lawful authority and capacity, stressing that an effective combination of both can prevent acts of terrorism before they occur. In a statement issued by its Director of Media and Publicity, Bode Jurojaye in Ibadan, the monarch said the current security situation required a sustained and coordinated security presence, supported by rapid response mechanisms to reassure residents of consistent and effective protection. Automatic tickets. Tinubu leaves lawmakers' fate in governor's hands. President Bola Tinubu has rebuffed lobbying efforts by the leadership of the Senate to secure automatic return tickets for the ruling party's sitting legislators ahead of the 2027 general elections, instead reaffirming the authority of state governors over the selection of candidates in their respective states. And this was as he formally empowered governors to drive the primaries process after a meeting with the state executive on Thursday evening. And it was gathered that the president's position has deepened anxiety among federal lawmakers, including several senators whose relationships with their governors have been strained. The president made the decision at a closed door meeting with extended leadership of the Senate at the presidential villa on Wednesday evening. Tinubu had earlier suggested that he would do everything within the party's power to ensure the return of 7 legislators, a promise and raised expectations in the National Assembly. And finally, Accord denies 2027 Tinubu Pact, reaffirms Adeleke's support. The national leadership of the Accord on Thursday dismissed claims that it had endorsed President Bola Tinubu. The party insisted that its focus remains on consolidating support for Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke ahead of the August 15, 2026 governorship election in the state. The party's national chairman, Maxwell Mugdem, made the clarification during a press conference in Abuja amid rising political activities ahead of Ekiti and Oshu governorship polls and the 2027 general elections. He said there is nothing like that. That's the Tinubu's endorsement. This is a political party, and Governor Adeleke is a candidate. If there is any such endorsement, I assure you that the media will be the first to know. It will come from here. And just like that, we've come to the end of today's edition of the Newspaper Review, right here on your number one station, JDN 101.5 FM, broadcasting live from the city of Ibadan. Thank you so much for joining me once again. My name is Anna George, and up next is Foni Iroyin. Keep it locked to JDN 101.5 FM, and you have a great day.